This is a very special night. Actually, the month of February is very special, and I'm here with a very special guy, my brother Fred. Before we start looking at this special star tonight, can you tell me when did you start looking at stars?
I guess you could say when I was like 9 years old, I started looking at the stars.
What influenced you to start looking at stars?
Dad gave me the binoculars, and once I looked through the binoculars, I could see star clusters behind star clusters, and I thought, wow, there are a lot more stars out here than you know.
What was the most impressive star that you saw when you were 9 years old?
I would say it was not a star, it was actually the Milky Way.
Why was that so impressive to you?
Because when I looked at it, and as you're panning the Milky Way, there are even more stars, and it just kept going on and on. It was like a trail that went across from the east to west, across the sky.
When did you buy your first telescope? Do you remember how old you were?
Well, first binoculars 9, and telescope, I'd say I was in my 30s.
And when did you start sharing this passion of yours with everybody?
It'd have to be when I was teaching 5th grade, and at the time Halley's Comet was out, and I took a whole caravan of parents at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is up in Idaho, and we took our telescopes and binoculars, and at that time it was my first formal event where I took people to stargaze with me.
Very cool. So earlier today you were telling me about a star that's very special. Can you kind of introduce that to us?
Yeah, actually the star is special to you, actually, brother.
Wow.
Yeah, it actually is something that only happens once in a while, where you have a star that actually is more meaningful to the person like you. It's a star that is up in the night sky in the wintertime. It's Aldebaran, which is a reddish-orange giant star, about 44 times bigger than our sun. Aldebaran is in the constellation Taurus, so formerly the name of the star is called Alpha-Tauri. Alpha is the first letter in the Greek alphabet, and what it means is that it's the brightest one in that particular constellation.
So I have a bright star?
Yeah, so what the significance is that this year in 2022, the light that we see is actually the light that emitted from Aldebaran when you were born.
In 1956?
Yeah, it finally got here. It had to travel actually 65 light years to make it here. And it's actually 65.2, which makes it 65 plus 2, that would be February of 2022, that the light is reaching our eyes right now, which is about 3 months before you were born. So when you look at this red star, it's traveled through space at about 6 trillion miles per year at a speed of 186,000 miles per second, and is now going to come to our eyes, and you'll be able to see the light that was shining from that time 65 years ago, 65.2 years ago, and I look at that as being a very special moment. And anyway, Aldebaran is a reddish, kind of orange star, and it's Latin for follower. And the neat thing about that is it's following actually another constellation or a star cluster called Pleiades. And anyway, it's something you find really easy in the night sky. It's like a bright orange. You can't miss it. It's not too far from Orion, so if you ever wanted to look at Orion, or excuse me, you'd see your star, Robert, all you have to do is look at Orion and go to your right a little bit, and probably about one or two fists over to the right, you'll see a red star. That is your star, Aldebaran.
Wow, thank you. We'll be right back. Before we go, I have one more question. I was always curious to know, how long do stars burn out? But in particular, how long will my star last?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, right now we look at this as being a red giant, or it's almost a red giant. It's at least 44 times bigger than the sun. It's at its last stage of maturity. Usually a newer star is blue first, very hot. Then it goes into a more a yellow or white, cools down. Then you get to a red star, it's even cooler. They believe that it won't supernova, which means an exploding star, but what will happen is it'll form a planetary nebula. And if that is the case, once it keeps expanding, it'll actually, yeah, I guess it would supernova. It would explode into a planetary nebula, leaving a white dwarf star in the center of it, with almost creating like a ring around the white dwarf.
So how many more months do I have before it supernovas?
Well, it's still expanding to a bigger and bigger star, so we're talking about millions of years.
Oh, so I can breathe easy.
Yeah. It's. I think they're predicting that Aldebaran will be probably at its largest expansion as a red star in a couple million years, and then after that it'll be in that state for another, I don't know, millions and millions of years before it changes to the next stage of its life, the star cycle.
All right. Well, thank you. This is Robert. And who are you?
This is his brother, Fred.
Two brothers in a star-lit night. See you next time.
Hey, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you, brother. And happy birthday to you. Actually, your birthday's before mine. We'll come back and we'll talk about his birthday at another time. See you.